Good morning, fourth grade. We are starting chapter 9 today, and I want to go quickly over show what you know. It says count the coins, and the first amount is 42 cents, and the second amount is 67 cents. And then it says write equivalent fractions for the two fractions shown, and we have 3/4, and I wrote 6/8 and 9/12. For 4/6, I wrote 2/3 and 4/8. Then it says write a fraction for the words. 3/10 looks like that, 8/10 looks like that, 6/10 looks like that, and 9/10 looks like that. Now, with our vocabulary, it says complete the semantic map by using words with a check mark. Well, compare is when we compare 1/10 to 100th, and a 1 is a whole. And this fraction is written 1/10, and this fraction is written 100th. Now our new vocabulary says draw a line to match each word with its definition. The first word is decimal, and the definition is a number with one or more digits to the right of the decimal point. Now number 2 is decimal point. And its definition is a symbol used to separate dollars from cents in money amounts and to separate the ones and the tenths places in decimals. Number 3 is tenths, and that says 1 part out of 10 equal parts. And the next one is hundredths, and that is 1 part out of 100 equal parts. And our last one is equivalent decimals, and that says 2 or more decimals that name the same amount. Now we are going to start with relating tenths and decimals. Now our essential question is how can you record tenths as fractions and decimals? Ty is reading a book about metamorphic rocks. He has read 7/10 of the book. What decimal describes the part of the book Ty has read? A decimal is a number with one or more digits to the right of the decimal point. You can write tenths and hundredths as fractions or decimals. It says use a model and a place value chart. This is our model and this is our place value chart. Shade 7/10 of the model. So I shaded 7/10. We have a square broken up into tenths, and I shaded 7 pieces, and I write it 7/10. With our decimal, we are going to write 7/10 is 7/10 written 1 7 behind the decimal point. There are 0 ones and 7/10. So we write it 0 for the 1, then our decimal point, and then a 7. And it's read 7/10. Another way is to use a number line. Label the number line with the decimals that are equivalent to the fractions. Locate the point for 7/10. So they started with 0/10, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. Now they put the number behind the decimal point. So 1 is behind the decimal point, 2 is behind the decimal point, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, and 0.7. Remember, Ty read 7/10 of the book, and 0.8 and 0.9. So 0.7 names the same amount as 7/10. So Ty read 0.7 or 7/10 of the book. And our last question is how can you write 0.1 as a fraction? 1.1 as a fraction is 1 over 10. So 1/10, and we read it 1/10. Now, our second problem says Tara rode her bicycle 1 mile and 6/10, so 1 6/10 miles. What decimal describes how far she rode her bicycle? You have already written a fraction as a decimal. You can also write a mixed number as a decimal. Well, shade 1 1/6 of our model. Here's our 1 whole, and there's our 6/10. So it's written 1 6/10. With our decimal, we write a 1 and a 6 behind the decimal point. So 1 6/10 is written 1 whole and 6/10. We write it 1 decimal 6, and it's read 1 6/10. Another way is to do it on a number line. 1 0/10, 1 1/10, 1 2/10, 1 3/10, 1 4/10, 1 5/10, 1 6/10. That's how far she rode. 1 7/10, 1 8/10, 1 9/10, and then 2 whole or 0/10. So our decimal is read 1 whole and 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2.0 or 2 wholes. 1.6 names the same amount as 1 6/10. So Tara rode her bicycle 1.6 miles. Try this. Write 1 as a fraction and as a decimal. Here it is as a fraction. I colored in my whole model, and 10 over 10 or 1 over 1 equals 1. As a decimal, 1.0/10, and it's written as 1.0. On our share and show, it says write 5/10 as a fraction and a decimal. 5/10 or 0.5. And as a decimal, it's 0 ones and 5 behind the decimal. As a fraction, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these colored in. That's how it would be modeled. Number 2 says write the fraction or mixed number and the decimal shown by the model. There are 2 wholes, so there is our 2, and 2/10, so there is our fraction. We would write that as a decimal as a 2.20. On the number line, they have our dot shown as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8/10 or 0.8. Now, I'm going to let you do the on your own, but I want to go over the problem solving with you. Ramon's rock collection. He has 10 different kinds of rocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different kinds of rocks. So each type will be out of 1/10. What part of the rocks listed in the table are igneous? So when I go to igneous, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 igneous rocks in his collection, or 5/10, because it says write your answer as a decimal. 5/10 is 0.5. Now on 16, it says sedimentary rocks make up what part of Ramon's collection? 1, 2, 3, and write your answers as a fraction and in word form. 1, 2, 3/10, written as 3/10, and word form written as 3/10. tenths. Now, what part of the rock listed in the table are metamorphic? 1, 2. Write your answer as a fraction, 2 tenths, or as a decimal, 0.2. Number 19 says, what's the error? Nikki wrote the following sentence in her report. Metamorphic rocks make up 2.0 of Roman's rock collection. 2.0 describes or means 2 whole, not 2 tenths. So her error is in that she described 2 wholes instead of 2 tenths. Josh paid for 3 books with 2 $20 bills. He received $1 in change. Each book was the same price. How much did each book cost? Well, we have to figure out what he paid with. He paid with 2 $20 bills, which is $40. Then he received $1 in change. So we have to subtract $1 from 40 and we get $39. 39 divided by 3 equals $13. So each book costs $13. Now, my test prep says Rosa has a bookshelf where she stores her book collection. 4 tenths of her books are mystery books. What is this written as a decimal? It's written as a fraction like this and as a decimal like that. C is your answer. Okay. Please finish the on your own and then do your practice book 9.1. Thank you.